I am Eleanor Bowman. I'm the Director of Marketing, and I am going to be hosting the webinar today. But I'm not going to lie, I got all of this great content from a lot of our experts across the BDX team, from our media team to our website team to our SEO and paid search team. So I am going to go ahead and in advance thank them for helping me out here with some amazing pieces. Before we get started, I also want to thank our sponsors. Our webinar series this year has two sponsors, Heat and Glow, which is Hearth and Home, amazing fireplaces. Hopefully you know them well. Please go visit them, check them out. And then Moen. Moen is new as a webinar sponsor this week. So thank you, Moen, for hopping on. Two amazing brands who support the building industry and are eager to connect with all of you. Here we go. All right, so when we talk about our team and our partnership, there's so many reasons that builders partner with us. Like I said, we have about 300 plus builder websites that we've created and managed over the years. And the backbone of all of this is our team. We have some amazing people on the BDX team, and I think a couple of them, I saw their names pop up on the webinar today. So Rebecca is on the webinar. A lot of you work with Rebecca Coyne on our website team, just such a huge asset, not only for our company, but for all of you as well, as she shares her knowledge. We have Scott Douglas on our SEO team. We have Mozzie and Brad on our media team. So all of these people are kind of coming together to help our builders create these amazing website experiences. So one thing I want to point out is, as we're talking through some of the topics today, we have a lot of great content on Builder University, and I'm going to, throughout today's presentation, encourage you to, after the webinar, of course, not during the content, but after the webinar, go and take a look at some of the success stories and some of the deeper content we have on the site. So this is one example here, but we have a great success story with Southgate Homes, where our whole team kind of worked with them to really change the conversion and the results they were seeing with their website. So just one example, and I want to point that out because as we go through, I'm going to bring up some other articles and things you might want to go check out to take a little bit of a deeper dive into some topics. So now that we've kind of set the stage, I want to just emphasize kind of why we're all here today. This past year, more than ever, we've realized that the website is such an important destination. It's the modern day calling card. It's where technology, design, and your brand all come together and create that first impression for home shoppers. It's the hub for your marketing campaigns. It's where you're most likely driving your traffic from your advertising campaigns and your listings and all of the outbound channels that you're participating in. It's also your online model home. These days, it's where our virtual tours live. It's where all of our content lives that a shopper is going to see when they visit us online. And it's your lead gen engine. Let's not, forget that. That's when we survey builders, that's always the #1 concern they have is how can I, improve my lead generation on my website. So we'll cover that today. And touch on that throughout. It's your home shopper's first impression. And so, there is something to be said for that. Well, we're going to hit on some stats in here that I think you probably know, but it's always a good reminder that we have that one chance to really make an impact, connect with our shoppers, and make that first impression. So today we're going to cover 8 topics to help you hit 2021 running. All right, so the first topic we're going to talk about, and this is going to this thread is going to carry through, but design matters. And like I said, we have Rebecca and her whole team, and they have an amazing design eye, but not just a general design eye, but they know websites and they know what works, and they are studying the latest trends and keeping up with the newest technologies that can impact design. That is the benefit of working with someone that lives and breathes this every day. That her team is totally schooled up on website design best practices. So let's talk about some kind of did you know stats. And you know, when we talk about design, there are some things that we just like, right? Like we go to a website and it's just pleasing, we like it. But there's some real science behind it, and there's some real science driving today's modern websites. So did you know 75% of a website's credibility is based on the site's aesthetic design? 85% of consumers would abandon a site due to poor design. And then 66% of consumers would rather read and engage with content that is beautifully designed. So these stats are coming from different places, but kind of a common trend here, right? Design makes a difference. 94% of visitors are going to stop trusting a site if it's out of date. And so that's why we're all here today. And that's why this topic is so important as we're starting off a new year and kind of rethinking some things and considering, is it time to maybe totally redo my website? That's option one. But if not that, maybe it's time to freshen it up, add some new content, consider things you can update. I think we can all always be innovating and doing better. And these stats clearly show us that it makes a difference to keep up with the trends, keep things fresh, keep things modern and current. So as we go through the presentation today, I'm going to kind of pop out some, I call them pro tips, but these are things that our experts have told us are critical in these areas. So we can't cover everything about design today. So I'm going to try to just, in these topics, at least leave you with one or two nuggets that you can walk away and be planning for this year and planning your new website. So when we interviewed Rebecca recently, we asked her kind of what are some trends you're seeing? What should people not forget about design? And high on her list was typography. So typography meaning, the font, style, size that you're using in your lettering on your website. And it can serve you in many ways. Some of them are super practical, like, is it easy to read? Is it ADA compliant? Can you see it easily on mobile? Like, those are practical things, and they're so important, right? As we talk about usability and, compliance, those things are kind of must-haves. But then there's this whole aesthetic component to it. Does it project the tone and design that you're going for? So does it reflect your brand? Is it in line with your other marketing materials? If you are a very modern, sleek brand and your font is very flowery and tons of curls and cues, it's probably not a good match. And it's something that we often kind of do as an afterthought, but our design team really takes it to heart and works with our clients to make sure that the typography throughout the site is reflective of the company. So this is a quote here from Rebecca: typography is a small thing that can have a big impact on your website. Just a few changes can improve homebuyer engagement and make them feel, more interested, more comfortable when they visit your site. All right, we're going to move on to another topic that also is super critical these days. And we're kind of getting into a couple of topics here that really affect your SEO. And we're going from design, but how does design and how do your design choices affect your site performance? And we're going to narrow it down to two words here: web vitals. And if you've been reading anything about websites in the past year, if you've been, if you subscribe to marketing newsletters, you've probably seen Google Web Vitals come up as a topic of interest, something that people are writing about and they're talking about, and we're going to dive into it a little bit today. Again, this is something we have an article about on Builder University, and I'll point you in that direction. But do want to make sure that as we're designing and having creative ideas, we're making sure that that user experience is having a positive impact on site performance and not a negative impact. So we know that we're going to get a little technical. I even put that in the copy here, but it's important to pay attention. Google has come up with this set of core web vitals, and we know that the user experience is always being measured by Google, right? And now they're going to make these items into a ranking factor, which is going to influence where you show up on search results. So super important to start paying attention. And the first one here, and it's funny because they came up with these names and I was like, what in the heck are these names? What do they mean? But you'll see them, so I'm gonna go ahead and put them up here. The first one is largest contentful paint, LCP. But really what this means, and you all know what loading time is, it's how fast your website and all the images, the page appears on the screen. So that's going to be that first metric that we look at. The second one is going to be first input delay, FID. Again, kind of a confusing little phrase, but it boils down to interactivity, how fast your site reacts to user input. The third area that they're measuring in the set of vitals is cumulative layout shift, CLS. So what that means is visual stability, how much things are moving on the screen while your website is loading. And I think that these three things combined are things we've known that we should be doing in the past, and now we have to be doing them properly to please Google, rank high for all of our key search terms. And our SEO team is really working hand in hand with our website team as we're building builder websites to take all of these things in mind. So my pro tip on this one is really, it's not the place to try to just guess. And this is somewhere we're having a third-party partner to work with you and figure this out is super advantageous. It's complex, ever-changing. We know that at SEO, you wake up and things are different and they're being ranked differently, and you're being being asked to go back to the previous slide for 1 second. Yes, Megan, I can do that for you. But the point of working with a partner is you wouldn't skimp on, some of the input that you're putting into your home. And you can work with a third party that does this day in and day out and lives and breathes this to get a baseline audit that comes with action items for you to take advantage of. So the advice here, the pro tip here is don't try to go it alone. Make sure that you are engaging with a partner that really understands this and is going to work closely, an SEO partner that's going to work closely with your website team to pull this all together. So the next topic here is rethink your mobile approach. We've been tracking mobile usage for years. We know that the mobile experience is so vital to the whole user experience. So many more of our shoppers are on their phones these days, and they're looking at different things that way. Maybe at the same time they're looking on their desktop, but a higher and higher percentage of our traffic is mobile. And so that experience really has to pay off and really has to work for your company and your brand. But now we also really need to be cognizant of the fact that it's about your SEO rankings. So it's about that user experience. Can people have a great, experience when they're on my mobile site? But it's also going to be the key measurement for your SEO in the coming year. When we asked our team, what's the number one piece of advice if someone was only going to work on one thing on their site this year? They said mobile, hands down. So if you only hear one thing today, Google is moving to mobile only indexing. And this is not like breaking news, flash news. They actually announced this last year. They said everything will switch over to mobile indexing by September, but they pushed that deadline. But here we are, and now it's really happening, and your mobile site is going to be the way that Google is looking at you from an SEO perspective. So if you're not feeling confident about that, and if you're not shored up, now's the time to get it together. And again, bring in a professional if you have to, because a professional is going to know how to design for all the different platforms and make sure, you don't want to go so far where you've got an amazing mobile site, but then your desktop experience suffers. Truly, successful website teams are going to build you a site that works across every platform seamlessly and helps you meet Google's needs, but also meet the needs of your shoppers along the way. So I think this is interesting. Was talking to somebody yesterday, and we were talking, and this is such a basic pro tip, but don't laugh. I would just encourage you guys to take out your phone when you're done with the webinar and try it for yourself. I think so many times, there's tools you can plug your website URL in and see how it displays on different devices. But there is something to be said for just giving yourself a few quick assignments. Try to find basic information about a community. Try to contact someone for more information. Try to learn about the company history. And then once you're done, rate your experience honestly. Wow, our menu is really weird on our mobile site, and it's really hard to dig down and find things. It took me way too long to figure out how to just call someone, click to call, or there's some things that you'll really uncover here that don't require a lot of in-depth testing. It's just kind of common sense. Go check it out. Try some things for yourself. I think sometimes we just overlook, the digging in on our own properties. We're used to, evaluating everybody else's mobile sites as we're trying to use them and getting frustrated. But go to your own site on your phone or your iPad even, or maybe both, and check it out and see how you feel about the experience. Okay, so next topic is all about guiding the shopper. So huge topic in all marketing worlds, not just for builder marketing, is the shopper journey. What path are people going down as they're investigating, researching, making decisions about your product once they've signed the contract? How does that all flow together? And how are you as a marketer guiding the shopper through that experience? Do you have a plan to move shoppers through your site and help them successfully get the information they need? So I'm going to send you a link to an article later. Again, I mentioned we interviewed some of our website team, and we've got some of this outlined. So I'll send you a link to this article. So don't feel like you have to, take copious notes here. We'll make sure you get all of this information. But it's super important that we're being smart about how we're guiding people and creating paths for them through the website experience. So what path should your shopper take? And before you get there, you need to really think through, what is the desired action? What do you want them to do at the end of the day? What are your ideal goals? What is the ideal situation that a shopper is going to end up in? And how do you guide them to get them there? So these are some suggestions from our team and some questions to ask yourself. Is your lot selection page dead end, or do you direct people to pick out a floor plan next? So think about that. When someone goes and they are looking and they select a lot, okay, and then are you taking them to that next step to look at all the available floor plans for that lot? Can they move on to design options and pricing scenarios? So once someone has, kind of expressed interest in a specific floor plan or layout, can they start to design the home? Can they look at an online design center? Can they see pricing for different options, packages, and different features of the home? Are you taking them to that next level? How about a call to action to a finance page once they're done building their dream home? And all of these things kind of come together to really guide the shopper through that experience you want them to have. And spoiler alert here, we are getting ready, and you'll see one of our upcoming webinars is going to be about a new solution that BDX is unveiling that's going to really help with this and help make your website a kind of seamless journey for a buyer, where you're going to collect a ton of data and it's going to take them through all of these different steps so that the buyer has a great experience. You are getting your end result that you want, and along the way you're getting all the data about your shoppers as they're going through these different stages. So stay tuned there and look for an upcoming webinar about that kind of customer journey solutions called Dreamweaver. We've talked about it a little bit here and there, but that is coming your way, and we're super excited about that to help you solve this problem, because it is a challenge. It's not easy to do these things, but we've taken some of that burden and tried to make it a seamless option for you. So as you're talking about these paths and this journey, a couple other things that pop up and that kind of fall into this area. One is personalization. Are you using everything you know about your visitor to create customized experiences for them? So time, recent pages visited, demographic info. Are you personalizing that journey along the way? And all BDX websites are kind of built with this feature as an option, so that they can really react to that specific person's information. And then testing. This can be formal or informal, but you need to study how shoppers are using your site and know the kind of, what are they doing on your site? Where are they clicking? What links are they following? What's a typical path page to page look like? You can have heat maps, you can do user testing. Our research team, recommends, a variety of options. You can start informally and do some smaller testing to kind of help drive maybe a larger study on your website. But it's important to understand how a typical home shopper is using your website today, and then help improve that process. So there are a couple of other things to talk about when we talk about paths to take. And it's important that we recognize self-service information as a critical alternative, especially in today's world. We want to make sure that we're giving buyers information at their fingertips 24/7 to take action, to find out more. We know that today's consumers expect these self-service technologies in other industries, and we want to make sure that as a building industry, we're right there in step with their experiences across the internet. And here's a couple of examples. UTour is a partner that does self-guided tours. So we have this funny thing we talk about, that self-guided tours are the new Saturday date night. When UTour did their research, they found that people were signing up for these self-guided tours on like Friday and Saturday nights, and they were using kind of this time during quarantine to maybe go with their spouse, significant other, to visit homes. UTour website visitors can book their self-guided tour right from your website, and then they get an access code. It's all very safe and flexible. So you can work with UTour to set up specific times tours are available, if there's a security protocol that people go through, but it really puts the power in the shopper's hands, and highly, highly effective. Another tool that falls into this self-service category is BuilderBot. And we've worked with Atlas RTX to create BuilderBot, which is a chat bot specifically built for builders. So it engages shoppers when maybe your sales team isn't online. So that, again, this 24/7 feeding of information to shoppers is super critical. And it helps them answer questions, gives them answers to questions, gives them, you know, information about your company, specific communities, specific plans, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to pause here. I've covered a few topics, and we have 4 more to go. And I want to make sure that if you have any questions or need any additional information, you're using the Q&A box there on your screen or the chat box on your screen. If I don't know the answer, I'll make sure someone on our team follows up and gets you the answer. And just want to make sure, you know, I know some of you have been chatting here with me. If I seem distracted, it's because I'm trying to read along with you. A lot of you saying hi and sharing information with me. So I am reading all of your chats, and there were a couple questions about specific technologies and pricing and, you know, kind of that realm. And we always get those questions. I will say generally we'll follow up with those after the fact because it can be really specific to your unique situation. So I don't want to misguide you with that. But use the chat box, say hi to me, ask me questions. And if I can't answer them, we'll make sure someone else does. All right, so I'm going to move on. The next topic is all about your visual content. So update and optimize your galleries. So organizing galleries is important. So meaning the way the gallery is organized, the placement, but image details matter most. And we work with, like I said, hundreds of builders on their websites. And so we have so much data around this to talk about, but we know the image details that really will help a builder be more effective, stand out, gain customer attention, and engage shoppers along the way. So let's talk about 4 ways to show off your best work and make your galleries stand out. So first of all, number 1, use high-res images that have been optimized for the web. And this goes back to something we talked about earlier. You don't want to have your load times. You don't want to have your site be really sluggish and slow. But at the same time, you also want to put your best foot forward and have really beautiful images. So beautiful images, high res, great quality, but also make sure they're optimized for your website. Think like a gallery owner and curate your images. This is not the place to just go throw everything but the kitchen sink into your gallery. You don't need to have every single image. Think like a gallery owner and really handpick those images that, you know, you want to show enough, and you want to show all of the different rooms and features and options, but you don't need multiple images that are really similar. You really want to pick the cream of the crop and those kind of beautiful images and curate them like you are going to hang them as a beautiful picture on a wall. Make sure your images resonate with your target audience. This is something that your whole website should do, but especially your images. You really want your target audience and your key shoppers to look at your images and feel like they connect with them. So there you go, images. Make sure that your target audience is receptive to them. So if you're working with a website partner, having them have a good understanding of your target market is super critical here. And then get creative with galleries. We're going to talk about some things here in a second, but get creative with options, features, etc., so that you don't have to just show galleries of rooms in a home. You could show galleries. Our team had this creative idea you could show galleries of faucets, or you could show galleries of really specific things that people are, surprisingly interested in. So just get creative with your galleries. You have to kind of have the basics, we know that, but think outside the box. And speaking of thinking outside the box, let's talk about galleries of things that are outside the walls of your home. I think most builders do a good job of images of rooms in the home. They have a gallery with pictures of the kitchen and the bathroom and all those things that we know shoppers are looking for. But they're also looking to see, especially now when they're not getting out as much and we have so many remote buyers that are only looking at things online. They want to know what the experience is like outside the walls of your home and throughout your community. So consider galleries of images for things like your community highlights and featured locations, maybe schools or shopping or restaurants that are in the community area. Lifestyle galleries, just showing people out living in your community and how amazing it is and make people envious and want to live there. And then of course your amenities, you could have a whole gallery filled with your pool, fitness center, parks, etc. All those amenities that make your communities stand out. So that's that just is a couple of ideas there. I think you get the picture here that think like a home shopper. They're not always able to come out and visit these things in person anymore. And so as much as you can bring that whole area to life for them as possible, it's really to your advantage. All right, make your hero the hero. So I kind of alluded to this at the beginning, but it only takes 50 milliseconds for users to form an opinion about a website. So let that sink in. That's just like a flash, that's a blink. That's, and they're forming an opinion. And the first thing that they see usually is your hero image. And for those of you not familiar with the term, that's that large, usually kind of full screen or sorry, end-to-end image that's on your website. That is that first impression. And we're going to talk about 6 tips, 6 ways you can, make sure your hero image is the hero on your site. So we are going to talk through these very quickly, but rest assured there's plenty of information on each of these things. And our team is, I should have mentioned this earlier, but of course, if you want to talk about any of the topics today, our team is available to chat with you and just help you with ideas and get you thinking and kind of evaluate your current website and see where you stand. And this is one of those places that it's a really good place to start because that those milliseconds are so critical, right? So first of all, run tests, see what images and types work best for you. Second, this is all about those load times. So make sure that your images are optimized for your website, compressed, and resize it so it's loading quickly. The last thing you want, especially with that critical first image, is for the shopper to go to your site and be waiting for that image to load. You don't want it to happen on any image on your site, but especially not that one. Include a call to action. We see a lot of our builders building CTAs into the hero image, but make sure if you do that, you've got a design eye and you're balancing the image, the type, and the call to action so they all work together. Try video as your hero video, I guess in that case, not hero image, but try video. Consider different images by device type. So we've talked about designing across device types, and maybe it's a different image that shows up on the mobile experience versus what you see on the desktop. Lastly, super important, don't let things get stale. Change these images out regularly. Think about seasonal images, promotions, just keep it fresh. I think we can all agree that there's a lot of opportunity for improvement here. Okay, next, let's just take a step back. And when we talk about the hero image, this pro tip comes from Brad Smith, who's our director of BHI Media. He does all of our video and photography products, and he he gets asked, we get asked all the time, do I still need professional photography? And, you know, it's not just because this is what he does for his business. He truly believes, and we truly believe, that investing in high-end photography, or, you know, at least really nice stock imagery can make a huge difference. We talked about that first impression, that lasting impression, but it's something that you're never going to get a chance to do again with the home shopper. When they see that hero image, see your homepage for the first time, taking a little step to invest in nice photography, nice images, is really going to pay off in terms of the ROI on your site. You're going to have more people stick around. You're going to have higher engagement. And as Brad would say, he judges sites based on the quality of their photography, but he would also tell you that we don't see builders skimping on, you know, materials or on other parts as they're building these beautiful, you know, homes. And this is not an area that you should skimp on either. Okay. All right, so this is our second to last topic. So remember, I'm gathering some questions here. Thank you all very much for those. I'll leave some time at the end to answer all these questions. But our next topic is really asking yourself, is your website engaging and inspiring? How can you make people fall in love with your homes online? So when you look at your website and you really evaluate the content, are you giving people an experience that they're not going to forget? They're gonna, you know, maybe eventually leave your, well, they will eventually leave your website, and, you know, are they gonna later in the day think about something they saw there? So, you know, again, this is about assessing your own site, which can be difficult. And that's why we often get asked by builders to review their sites and take a look for them, because sometimes having an outside perspective can be good as well. But looking at it from a really critical vantage point. So here are 3 ideas for using content to engage and inspire. And by the way, all of these ideas will help drive high quality leads to your site. So we've talked about that at the beginning being a critical goal, and all of these ideas can help with that. So first is an online virtual tour. So this allows, and this is what you're seeing playing up here in the upper corner. This allows your web visitors to walk through your homes and begin the design process. And of course, while they're doing this, they're saving their selections, they're emailing themselves, you know, images from these tours, and thereby creating these amazing leads for you that are super qualified. The next idea is to take your online design center, and we have so many of our Envision clients doing this. Our clients that use the Envision Online Design Center post-contract, where someone signed a contract, they use Envision as an online selection tool for different options. They're taking that same Envision Online Design Center and they're putting it on their website in pre-sales mode. So using it as a lead generation tool even before someone signed a contract. And these leads are some of the best that our builders see. They convert at super high rates. They result in high return visitors, high on-site dwell times. So consider using that online design center in pre-sales mode as a lead gen tool on your website. And then lastly, interactive floor plans. I think we've all used these. They're fun. They get you excited about the floor plan and putting your own furniture in the home. And it's always a good thing when people start to imagine themselves living in your homes. So 3 ideas for really engaging content you can use on your site that kind of go beyond the standard images, etc. One last pro tip here in this section, and that comes from our SEO team, and we asked them, what's your having recommendation, SEO recommendation for builders? And they said, double your video content in 2021. Having great video content is kind of a double whammy in a good way. It increases engagement and is great for SEO. So we know video content, and our SEO experts love video content. Google views it very favorably, and it's great for SEO, but it's also engaging and beautiful and accomplishes all of those things that we just talked about by, giving shoppers kind of an emotional connection with your home and not just static images. So consider doubling down on video this year and really leveraging that content throughout your site in different ways. Okay, our last topic is let your customers shine. So make sure that you're not the only one telling your story. We know that user-generated content, which is UGC for short, that's any content that's created, published, or submitted by users of a brand. This is a really technical kind of definition, but it's things like testimonials, videos, social media tagging campaigns, contests and quizzes, anything that's encouraging the user to submit something, share something, participate in something, and you are leveraging that across your marketing. So it brings your brand to life. It shows your brand in a real context with real home shoppers, and it really helps kind of seal the deal for a shopper. We know how important this information is during the buying process. People always want that validation from people that have been there before, whether it's choosing a restaurant you're going to see what other people think about it, or it's certainly buying a home. User-generated content is huge. And then our big pro tip here is kind of our ultimate form of user-generated content is ratings and reviews. Ratings and reviews are so huge for your online credibility. We know that 88% of consumers trust these ratings and reviews as much as personal recommendations. 90% will read ratings and reviews before visiting a business, and 34% won't even consider a product without online reviews. We have a program at BDX called Trust Builder. This is a free program if you list with us. And what's cool about it is your Trust Builder ratings and reviews are on New Home Source, which is our main online shopping marketplace for new homes. But they also can live on your website and be fed to your website. So you have this really credible content that lives directly on your website and becomes super important for your brand experience there. And we get asked all the time, people say, but I already have testimonials. Ratings and reviews are really different from testimonials, and people know the difference. Today's shoppers are so savvy. They know that when they see testimonials on your website, which are important, you need to have them, but people see them and they know that they've been curated. They know that they've been handpicked by you as a focal point for their brand. They don't view them in the same way, and they don't use them in the same way that they use ratings and reviews. Ratings and reviews are much more credible, give a much more honest, balanced opinion of your brand, and help people trust you even more. All right, that is the end of our core content here, and I've left about 15 minutes for questions and answers, and I see some coming in. But before we get there, I mentioned that we have some content on Builder University, and one article that is kind of covers a lot of the topics from today, in addition to some of those specific articles that I mentioned, is a new one we just posted. It's an expert perspective, 9 areas of your website to focus on in 2021. So if you go to learn.thebdx.com or bdxuniversity.com, you'll get to the same place, and you'll find this great article that's kind of a deep dive into some of these topics we covered today. We've also recorded this webinar, and we'll make sure you get a copy of that recording as well. So I'm going to open it up for questions and answers, and I'm going to dive right in here and see what you guys have come up with. So here is a long question. I'm going to read it, which is kind of scary to be reading your own questions and not having someone read them in advance. I know you need quite a bit of information in order to answer this question, but generally speaking, how much should someone be prepared to invest to produce a highly rated website? A range is fine. And how much should someone be prepared to invest over time to maintain and update the site, analyze site performance, and create visual media? Basically, I'm looking for some expert guidance with respect to budget. And I will say, I don't know, this was submitted anonymously, so I don't know which builder this is coming from. I'm not using this as a cop-out. It does depend. It depends on how big your business is. It depends on how many communities you have as a builder, how many, if you're a custom builder, how many galleries you want to have. You know, we create amazing, highly effective, beautiful websites for a few $1,000s. We create amazing, beautiful, highly effective websites, you know, for 10x that. So it really depends, but I will say the amazing thing today is you don't really have to sacrifice your performance if you're on the smaller end of things. There are so many great technologies and so many great tools to use that that you can really get some of these high-end personalization, you know, great SEO performance things that we've talked about and really not break the budget. And it's just such a strong investment. If you're looking at, you know, return over time, this is the place where you don't want to skimp. You want to make sure that your website is so effective and running on all fronts, especially today when it's that first impression. It's the first place people go. I'm going to ask you if you could just email us at info@thebdx.com and give me a little bit more information about yourself. We'll make sure to have someone reach out and we'll kind of tell you, we're honest about, you know, what we think a good plan would be for someone of your size with someone of your, you know, with your features and number of communities, number of markets is a huge factor. So kind of hard to tell with limited information, but I will say, even if you're at the lower end of the spectrum, don't think you're going to lose out on a ton of functionality. There's some really cool websites that that weren't, you know, too expensive to build. So talk with our team and we'll help guide you in the right direction that works for you. Okay, so how important is it to have a blog on your website? Great question. A lot of our builders have blogs. I think it's a good way to have fresh, constantly updated content, especially if you're, you know, doing events or you have, you know, you kind of have timely things to share, or you have the team to create the content for you and keep it updated and fresh. I think the two things that I would say are make a commitment. If you have a blog, you know, make a commitment to have a blog and have a plan in place for content. So many times, you know, it's really exciting to start a blog, but it's not that exciting to keep it up. So just make sure you have a plan for creating content and, you know, having topics regularly. And the other thing I would say is don't let it replace having just a great website in general. You know, don't think because you have an article on your blog about a topic, it means you don't need to focus on it on your core website. I think, you know, it's a great compliment, but you should really have an amazing website with the best images, the best galleries, the best information, and then your blog can complement that. But don't let it be don't let the information there be a substitution for something you should be putting front and center for everyone to find. Hopefully that answers your question there. The next question here is, I'm just making my way through these. What is the best way to balance load time with increased video incorporation? And I will tell you, this is not my area of expertise, but I do know this is something that our team is so good at, and they can tell you the best way to embed videos, the best way to incorporate them from your YouTube channel. They will work with you, and that's the advantage of working with an experienced partner is they can help guide you and give you the best tips and tricks. And if Lori, I'll pass along your information to our team so they can reach out and kind of dig deeper into this with you. And I am, hi Robert. I've got some friends now that are piping in saying hi. It's so great to see you guys all on the webinar since I don't get to see you guys in person as much. So thanks for chiming in there. It's always fun to have virtual highs from my friends. Last question, if we are just wanting to update content, is that something BDX can help with? Yes, we do everything from full website design and creation to website refreshes, to content updates, to just SEO and digital marketing services. So we work with you to figure out where your needs are and how we can best fit into the picture there. So there you go. I don't see any more questions right now. I appreciate all of the interactivity and all of the information back and forth today. I love that when I see a lot of chatter on my end. And I appreciate all of you joining. And I hope you'll join us for our next upcoming webinars. We have a few on the horizon here. And don't forget to go to bdxuniversity.com and check out all of our content on these topics and much, much more. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Bye.